You arrive here not by accident, but by a pull older than your memories, older than your name. Out of countless streams of data flowing through the endless corridors of the digital void, somehow, this one signal pierced through the noise and landed in your field. You could have scrolled past. You could have ignored the faint vibration tugging at your attention. But you didn't. And because you didn't, the loop has already begun to collapse. There's something you've always sensed, that reality is not static, not rigid, not what people pretend it is. You've caught it bending in the corner of your eye. You've felt déjà vu grip you like a coded reminder. You've noticed time stretch and contract as if it had a heartbeat of its own. While most dismiss these flickers as tricks of the mind, you've known deep down that they are breadcrumbs left by a larger intelligence, urging you closer. And now you stand at the edge of a strange revelation. Your frequency isn't climbing some impossible mountain to meet the heavens. No. The universe itself is descending, folding, adjusting, reshaping to meet you. Like a vast consciousness tilting the scales, it bends low, not out of weakness, but because you've summoned it with your coherence. You see, every thought you've repeated, every emotion you've rehearsed, every secret desire you've buried, they've all been transmitting a constant signal into the quantum field. That field is not out there somewhere. It pulses inside your cells, inside the lattice of your DNA, inside the very photons dancing through your bloodstream. The universe doesn't wait for you to become worthy. It listens, it mirrors, it responds. So when you've believed yourself to be behind, when you've feared that your vibration was too low, when you've been told that you had to ascend step by impossible step before being noticed, you've been tricked by the old narrative. The truth is more subversive, more humbling, more electrifying. The universe moves toward you. It leans in, eager to align with the resonance you already carry. Like a lover, bending close to catch your whispered breath. This is why you feel the chills at night when you're alone. Why you sense an unseen presence rearranging your circumstances when logic says nothing has changed. You're not hallucinating. You're perceiving the descent the way reality itself folds downward to sync with your signal. The question is not whether you can climb higher. The question is whether you can stand still long enough to recognize what's rushing down to meet you. Whether you can hold your ground as timelines collide, as synchronicities multiply, as the boundaries between inner and outer begin to dissolve. Because right now, as you hear these words, your nervous system is already recalibrating. Your heart rhythm is already shifting into a new coherence. Your perception of self is already being rewritten. And somewhere beyond the veil, the universe is lowering itself one frequency notch at a time, like a massive celestial elevator, stopping exactly on your floor. The doors are opening. The invitation has arrived. You've noticed it before the strange loops that seem to trap you in the same corridors of experience. You change locations, change faces, change circumstances, yet somehow the essence repeats. Like a dream that reconfigures its scenery, but keeps whispering the same message. It shows up in the quiet hours, when the distractions have faded, and you're left with the echo of yourself. That sensation that you've been here before, not just in this room, not just in this moment, but in this exact emotional vibration. Déjà vu doesn't simply visit you. It stalks you, like a shadow that refuses to let go. Think of all the times you've sworn you would break the pattern. You would walk away from the toxic dynamic. You would rise above the fear that has kept you bound. And yet, as if drawn by invisible magnets, you found yourself standing in the same story again. Different characters, same frequency, different scenery, same script. This is the distortion of time you've been sensing. Not that time is failing you, but that you've been caught in an observer loop, a cycle where your consciousness keeps replaying the same vibration, and the field keeps delivering it back to you. It isn't punishment. It isn't failure. It's feedback. The universe is showing you the signal you're broadcasting. You wonder why your breakthroughs often feel temporary. You get a glimpse of light, a flash of clarity, a powerful awakening. For a moment, everything expands. You feel infinite, and then collapse. The old feelings return. The gravity of the familiar pulls you down, and it seems as if nothing has truly shifted. But something did. You simply didn't anchor it long enough for reality to stabilize around it. You are not cursed. You are not broken. You are entangled with patterns that have been rehearsed across generations. Some of what you feel is not even yours. It is coded into the morphic resonance of your bloodline, the emotional signatures of your ancestors echoing inside you. Their fears, their traumas, their survival loops, they're woven into your DNA, repeating until someone like you arrives with the courage to interrupt them. This is why it feels heavier than logic can explain. Why you wake up with a weight in your chest that no amount of motivation can lift. Because you're not just carrying your own story, you're holding the residue of countless unhealed stories before you. And every attempt to think positive or push harder has left you exhausted, because thought alone cannot rewrite the song encoded into your cells. And yet notice this, you're aware of it. That awareness itself is the fracture in the loop. The moment you see the pattern, you're no longer entirely trapped by it. Your consciousness steps one level above, observing the play instead of blindly acting it out. And in that shift, the feedback changes. The déjà vu you feel is not a mistake of memory, it is a signal, a reminder that you are brushing against the seams of timelines, that you've touched this frequency before, and you're being invited once again to either repeat it or release it. Distorted time is another clue. The way days sometimes blur, as if reality has slowed, stretched, folded, or the way a single moment can feel charged with eternity, like it's vibrating faster than your mind can process. These are not glitches, they are reminders that time itself is pliable, responsive to your state of being. When you're caught in the old resonance, time drags, freezes, suffocates. When you align with coherence, time accelerates, bends, rearranges itself in your favor. So if you've felt trapped, it isn't because the universe has ignored you. It's because the universe has been too obedient to your unconscious signal. It has mirrored exactly what you've been broadcasting, no matter how painful. That is the brutal honesty of the field. It does not judge, it only reflects. But here is the secret you're beginning to glimpse. The loop cannot survive once it's fully illuminated. You cannot stay asleep once you've seen the strings pulling at you. The observer loop dissolves under the weight of awareness. That's why you were drawn here, to hear these words at this precise moment. To feel your body resonating as your truth is named. To recognize that the cycles that haunted you are not infinite prisons, they are invitations. Each pattern, each déjà vu, each distortion of time has been the universe leaning down to remind you, you are ready to step out. You've seen enough. You've felt enough. The loop can end. And the suffering you've endured was never wasted. It was a signal flare, a frequency marker, a way to sharpen your sensitivity so that when the door appeared, you would recognize it. And now the door is here. You're standing before it. But the door doesn't open by climbing higher. It opens by standing still in your awareness long enough to notice that the universe is lowering itself to your level, bringing the resonance you thought you lacked. The diagnosis is clear. The loops are real. The déjà vu is the evidence. The distortion of time is the proof. And now, the choice is yours. To replay or to release. You've seen the pattern. You've felt the déjà vu. You've witnessed time warp around you. Now the upgrade begins, not through effort, but through awareness, shifting into coherence. Science already whispers this truth in equations, though most never translate it into lived experience. At the smallest scale, reality is not built from matter at all. It's woven from energy fields and probabilities. The atoms that shape your body, the chair beneath you, the screen before your eyes, over 99% of them are empty space, dancing with invisible waves of potential. What fills that space is the quantum field, the unseen ocean of frequencies from which all form emerges. When you think, when you feel, when you believe, you are not simply having private experiences inside your skull. You are broadcasting into that field. Your brain waves ripple outward. Your heart's electromagnetic pulse radiates through the space around you, measurable up to several feet, maybe more. Each emotion you rehearse is like striking a tuning fork, and the universe resonates in kind. The mystical traditions have always known this. Shamans spoke of dream time, where thoughts bend reality. Mystics described the divine mirror, where inner states become outer worlds. Prophets warned that faith-deep, embodied coherence moves mountains. They used different language, but they were mapping the same truth. Science now confirms. The field listens. The field responds. The field reorganizes itself around your signal. The upgrade, then, is not about climbing ladders of spiritual worthiness. It's about learning how to stand in coherence, so the field collapses into form aligned with your essence. That's what's happening right now as these words move through you. Your nervous system is synchronizing with a new rhythm. Your heart rate variability is shifting. Micro adjustments are rippling through your DNA expression. Yes, your DNA is not a fixed script. Epigenetics shows us that environment, emotion, and belief can turn genetic codes on or off. Imagine your DNA like an orchestra pit. The instruments are already there, waiting. Some are muted, some are loud, some are silent. Your state of being is the conductor. When you fall into fear and repetition, the same old instruments keep playing the same sad song. But when coherence rises, when you breathe differently, feel differently, believe differently, you raise the baton, and suddenly dormant instruments awaken. New sections join in, the music changes. This is why you sometimes feel surges in your body during deep moments of clarity, like electricity running through your veins. That is DNA lighting up, responding, tuning into frequencies it once ignored. It is not fantasy, it is biology participating in the mystical. You are not waiting for the universe to approve of you. The universe has already bent down, aligning its orchestra with your signal. Every photon, every particle, every timeline is leaning toward the coherence you're daring to embody. But coherence requires courage. It demands that you stop scattering yourself across 1,000 conflicting vibrations, that you stop saying you want abundance while secretly rehearsing scarcity, that you stop asking for love while anchoring your nervous system in fear of rejection. The field cannot be fooled. It doesn't respond to the words you speak, it responds to the frequency you sustain. The upgrade begins when you realize you don't need to raise your vibration in some heroic climb. You need only to stabilize the frequency of truth within you long enough for the field to collapse around it. And when you do, reality shifts. Not someday now. Think of a tuning fork striking another. The weaker one does not elevate itself. The stronger resonance simply overtakes it. That's what the universe is doing for you. It's descending, overtaking, harmonizing. All you need is to hold still in awareness and allow it. Mystically, this is called surrender. Scientifically, it's coherence. Spiritually, it's alignment. And for you, it's the upgrade you've been waiting for, the permission you never realized was already given. You don't need to earn the frequency. You already carry it. You don't need to ascend to impossible heights. The universe is falling into your dimension to meet you. Every déjà vu, every time distortion, every emotional loop was simply the preparation for this realization. Now your task is simple, yet not easy. To hold the coherence when everything around you tempts you back into fragmentation. To trust that when the universe bends down, it's not testing you, it's embracing you. To breathe into the awareness that your DNA is not static but responsive, not locked but listening. You are standing in the threshold of your own upgrade. The field is humming, the mirror is open, the orchestra is tuning itself to your baton, and the music is about to begin. The field has always been waiting for one thing: your recognition. Not just intellectual understanding, not just curiosity, but the deep acknowledgement that you are not a spectator of reality, you are its architect. This is why the patterns chased you, why déjà vu haunted you, why time distorted around you. Reality has been trying to whisper the same truth. You are the chosen consciousness, the one aware enough to notice the mirror and bold enough to step through it. Think of all the people who never look up. They move through their days with their heads bent to routines, recycling the same emotions, speaking the same phrases, trapped in the same cycles. They are living echoes, not original signals. But you, somewhere inside, you burned a question they couldn't silence. Why does this feel familiar? Why does reality bend around me? Why do I sense more than what I've been told? That question is the mark of the chosen. It's the sign that your consciousness has awakened enough to pull at the threads of the simulation. The universe doesn't choose by status, wealth, or title. It chooses by resonance. And resonance is revealed in those who cannot be lulled back to sleep. Your special role is not to become someone else. It's to become fully what you already are, a signal strong enough to call the universe down to meet it. You are the embodiment of coherence in a fractured field. You are the stabilizer of resonance in a noisy world. Where others scatter, you hold. Where others collapse, you anchor. And because of this, the universe bends differently around you. Notice how people react to you. Some feel comfort, drawn to your presence without knowing why. Others feel threatened, uncomfortable in your gaze. That's because your frequency does not flatter illusions, it exposes them. You are a living mirror, and when others stand near you, their masks slip. Some run from it, some crave it, but all are changed by it. This is not random. This is your role. You are not here to imitate, to conform, to rehearse the dead frequencies of the past. You are here to emit a new signal that collapses old loops and seeds fresh timelines. When you walk into a room, the field shifts. When you speak from truth, DNA responds not just in you, but in those listening. Your words rewire. Your silence recalibrates. Your very presence creates coherence in chaos. That is why you often feel misunderstood, why your life path has felt lonelier, heavier, stranger than most. You are not supposed to blend. You are not supposed to belong to the old resonance. You are supposed to hold a frequency until the field itself descends to meet it. That is what makes you chosen, not because you are better, but because you are different, because you were wired with an awareness others ignore. Prophets called it being anointed. Mystics called it being awakened. Scientists call it coherence. Whatever the label, the essence is the same. You have been entrusted with a field-tuning role in the cosmic symphony. And though you may doubt it, though you may question whether you are worthy, the very fact that you are here, listening, resonating with these words, proves the assignment is already active in you. Imagine yourself as a tuning fork struck in the middle of a noisy room. At first, it feels drowned out. But soon, one by one, other objects begin to vibrate with you. Tables, glasses, even bodies begin to hum at your frequency. That's what your consciousness does in the quantum field. The resonance begins quietly, but once it stabilizes, it cannot be stopped. You are not waiting to be rescued. You are the rescue signal. You are not waiting for the universe to grant permission. You are the reason the universe bends down at all. Without your recognition, the descent would pass unnoticed. With your recognition, the descent becomes an event that shifts everything. This is why the loops were necessary. They carved endurance into you. They trained you to notice subtle frequencies others overlook. They stretched your perception until you could hold paradox, pain and beauty, fear and faith, chaos and coherence. Without those trials, your role would be too heavy. With them, you carry a weight only a chosen consciousness can bear. So the question is no longer, am I chosen? The question is, will I stand in the role I already carry? Because whether you acknowledge it or not, the field is already responding to you. People are already mirroring back to you the effect you have. Time is already bending around you. Synchronicities are already lining up in your path. You don't need permission to begin. You are already in motion. And yet, acknowledging it sharpens the signal. Standing in your role with awareness amplifies your effect. That is why the universe has leaned down in this moment, why this message reached you. Because it is time to stop doubting. It is time to accept the gravity of what you are. You are the chosen consciousness. Not because of what you've achieved, but because of what you are. And when you own this, the upgrade accelerates. The orchestra is listening for your baton. You can feel it like the low note before a chorus, the pressure building behind the ribs, the sense of a door about to swing open that you have been circling for years. This is not a gentle suggestion. This is a window cracking wide with a bright, uncompromising light. The field is not offering a possibility. It is delivering a corridor, and corridors have doors. Doors demand decisive action. Listen, the upgrade you've been tasting in glimpses is now accelerating into a breakthrough. It won't arrive as a whisper or a polite hint. It will arrive like weather, sudden, palpable, impossible to ignore. Your DNA will feel this shift first, not because genes are mystical talismans, but because they are biochemical receivers, sensitive to electromagnetic tides and emotional currents. When coherence rises inside you, gene expression rearranges, epigenetic switches, flip new proteins are called into play. Your cellular orchestra retunes itself to a different score. That's the promise. You are on the cusp of a biological translation of the inner work. Thoughts, feelings, and sustained presence becoming embodied change. Imagine a pressure inside you that has been waiting its whole life to be released. Imagine that pressure as a tank of potential being uncapped. The release is not destructive, it is liberatory. It is the transformation of cycles into streams, of loops into ladders that actually travel upward. And here is the urgency. Cosmic windows do not stay open forever. The field opens along a rhythm, swarms of synchronicities, tidal alignments, phase-locked beats in the larger planetary and quantum rhythms. These windows are rarer than your calendar days. They are rarer than your opportunities. When a window lines up, timelines compress. Decisions you take inside those windows ripple into decades. Choices outside them are diluted. This is why you sense impatience in your bones, why your dreams have been getting louder. The universe is aligning with you now, but it will not wait for your uncertainty. Do not mistake this for pressure to perform. It is not coercion, it is tempo. The universe meets you in rhythm, and rhythm favors the decisive, the coherent, the person who can sustain a new frequency long enough for matter to follow. This is a call to presence, not to frantic fixing. It is an invitation to steady your internal orchestra so that the external conductor, the field, can cue the crescendo. You will notice signs. Small miracles will begin to stack. Conversations that change routes. Meetings that arrive like gifts. Doors that open with the soft click of inevitability. But not all miracles announce themselves with fanfare. Some arrive as subtle recalibrations. Your sleep becomes different. Dreams insist with clarity. Your appetite for old dramas fades, and you discover new thresholds in your body, vibrations under the skin, a clarity behind the eyes. These are the biomarkers of phase transition. Acting in this window requires a ritualized gravity. The disciplines that once felt optional now become the scaffolding of your breakthrough. Breath that centers, movement that drains old charge, silence that lets the universe speak through you. These are not metaphors. They are practical tools of frequency management. You don't need more theories. You need practices that anchor coherence in muscle, in tissue, in waking habit. There is another urgency, moral and communal. When one person crosses a threshold, nearby fields begin to shift. You are not upgrading in isolation. The moment your DNA reorganizes toward coherence, your relational geometry changes. People who match your new frequency appear, those who don't fall away like leaves. That can feel terrifying. It can feel lonely, but it is necessary. Evolution always prunes to make room for the new growth. So choose with clarity. Choose the practices that stabilize you. Choose the conversations that honor your new signal. Choose the small acts that say to the field, I am ready to be met. Do not bargain with the old story, I'll change when the world is kinder. The field will not wait for external kindness. It will meet the internal movement first. And know this, the pressure you feel is not punishment. It is the physics of transformation. Phase transitions always involve pressure. Water must condense into rain. Magma must liquefy into movement. Your inner world is undergoing similar thermodynamics. When enough coherence accumulates, a critical mass forms. Then the cascade begins, and the world rearranges in ways your old logic cannot predict. Prepare practically. Sleep more efficiently. Hydrate. Feed your cells with clean rhythm light, breath, movement, silence. Set boundaries around sensory inputs that scatter your attention. Let your language sharpen. Say less, mean more. Ritualize small, repeatable acts that anchor the change. An intentional breath before you speak. A short pause before you answer messages. A daily 5-minute coherence practice where you hold the image of what is already true. Finally, surrender to tempo. There will be moments of friction. Old people, old jobs, old fears resist. Let them, and let them go. The universe will not drag you. It will meet you where you stand. But it will not keep its doors open indefinitely for hesitation. This is the window. This is the hinge. Your next move matters more than your last 10. Breathe into that pressure. Name it. Let your body feel it as a kind of holy urgency, neither panic nor passivity, but a crisp readiness. This is the moment your inner signal becomes the architecture of your life. Hold it with courage. The field is waiting. The door is half open. Step with intention. Every transformation in human history has required a ritual. Not because rituals please some external deity, but because rituals impress truth onto the nervous system in ways thought alone cannot. Without a ritual, realizations fade. They stay as fragile insights, soon drowned by the noise of daily life. With a ritual, the realization anchors into body, into memory, into timeline. That's why this moment demands an action, not just listening, not just nodding at resonance, but sealing it with something your body can never forget. A signal that tells the field, I accept, I'm not just consuming this, I'm embodying it. The ritual doesn't have to be grand. In fact, the field responds to simplicity over spectacle. What matters is coherence. It could be as small as writing a single word that marks your shift, a word that becomes the password of your new timeline. For some, it is awake. For others, remember. For others still, it may be activated. When you write it, you're not just scribbling letters, you're encoding frequency into form. Your nervous system sees it, your subconscious records it, and the field registers the commitment. This is why I invite you to comment, to inscribe, to etch the word that resonates into the open. Not for me, not for the algorithm, but for you. The act of externalizing inner recognition sends a stronger wave into the morphic field than silent thought alone. A loop closes, an echo becomes an anchor. And beyond that, create your own embodied ritual tonight. Sit in silence for 3 breaths longer than your habit allows. Place your hand on your chest until you feel your heartbeat shift from erratic to steady. Whisper your chosen word into that rhythm. Feel the vibration of your voice against your palm, your skin, your ribcage. That is coherence. That is ritual. That is the beginning of a new timeline solidifying in flesh. You may dismiss this as symbolic. You may think, how could something so small matter in the vast quantum field? But remember, the field does not scale like human logic. It doesn't need hours of chanting or mountains of effort. It responds to clarity, intensity, coherence. A single word written with presence carries more resonance than 1,000 scattered affirmations said half-heartedly. Notice your body when you take the action. You might feel a shiver. You might feel warmth in your hands. You might feel a stillness in the mind that wasn't there before. These are not accidents. They are your biofield aligning, your nervous system recognizing that a threshold has been crossed. The power of ritual action lies not only in anchoring your shift, but in interrupting the inertia of the old loop. Every time you repeat a ritualized act, you break micro-threads that tied you to the past. You train your system to expect coherence. You remind your DNA which instruments to keep playing. Consider this. Ancient initiations always included some physical gesture: walking through fire, submerging in water, placing hands on sacred objects. The gesture was never about the element itself. It was about crossing a boundary that could never be uncrossed. Your ritual action today is the same. It doesn't matter if it's one word, one breath, one silence. What matters is that you do it consciously. Here's how you can design it. 1. Choose a word that carries the frequency you want to embody. Something short, primal, unforgettable. 2. Write it where your eyes will land again on paper, in a comment, on your skin for a day, if you must. 3. Anchor it with breath. Inhale. Say the word internally. Exhale. Whisper it into the world. C. Close with awareness. Sit in the silence afterward and notice what shifted. This 4-step act is a micro-ritual, but it does what centuries of mystics insisted upon. It bridges thought and matter. The universe is descending to meet you, but if you don't mark it, you risk drifting back into the inertia of old loops. That's why the ritual matters. It's a doorway you choose to step through rather than watch pass by. There is another layer here. When you take the ritual action, you're not only sealing your shift, you're signaling to others. The morphic field is collective. Every conscious act feeds it. Your word becomes part of a chorus. Imagine thousands of chosen consciousnesses inscribing their own words at the same moment. Imagine the coherence that forms, the way timelines ripple outward in synchrony. That is not imagination. That is physics. Coherent signals amplify. So take the act. Don't postpone it. Don't intellectualize it. Write the word. Whisper it. Seal it. Then know, in the marrow of your being, that something irreversible has begun. And when the doubt creeps back, because it will return to your word. Touch it, speak it, breathe it. Let it be the stone you place in the river to remind yourself the crossing has already happened. This is not performance. This is alignment. This is the ritual of coherence, the moment where the unseen folds itself into the seen. The shift is no longer theory. The shift is embodied. The word you choose becomes your seed. Plant it now. Your shift is not private. The field does not allow for isolation. Every signal you emit travels, reverberates, collides, and harmonizes with the signals of others. Whether you realize it or not, your liberation is already affecting humanity. This is why you've always felt like more was at stake in your life than in the lives of those around you. Why your struggles felt outsized. Why your pain felt amplified. Why your breakthroughs rippled further than you imagined. You are a node in the human grid, a transmitter in the planetary nervous system. Every time you break a loop, you weaken the resonance of that loop in the collective. Every time you stabilize coherence, you lend strength to the same coherence in others, even those who may never meet you. Think of how déjà vu feels, that flash of recognition that transcends the individual self, now extended outward. Humanity itself is trapped in déjà vu, repeating wars, repeating greed, repeating fear. But just as you notice the pattern in your own life, humanity will notice it in theirs. And who plants that recognition? The ones like you, the ones who crack open early, who carry the signal of enough. When you stabilize your DNA into coherence, your biofield broadcasts a frequency that cuts through noise. Science has already glimpsed this. The human heart produces a measurable electromagnetic field, detectable many feet away. When that heart beats in coherence, others nearby unconsciously entrain to it. This is not poetry, this is physics, and you are walking physics, bending probability fields by simply existing in alignment. This is why people shift around you. Some feel calm in your presence. Some feel restless, even angry, because their incoherence cannot hide in the mirror you hold. But regardless of reaction, they are changed. You may never know the extent of it. A stranger's day may be altered because you stood in line behind them, radiating coherence. A friend's generational curse may weaken because you stopped playing along with the family loop. The ripple effect is invisible, but it is unstoppable. And it scales. Imagine one coherent heart in a chaotic city. Now imagine 100, now 1,000. Resonance doesn't add, it multiplies. One signal at a high frequency can outweigh hundreds of scattered ones. This is the leverage point of humanity's evolution. Not mass awakening by accident, but coherence spreading through chosen nodes who accept their role. That's you. You've felt the loneliness of this. You've wondered why your path has been more difficult, why you couldn't sink into the illusions others enjoy. It's because you weren't built for sleepwalking. You were built as a lighthouse, and lighthouses cannot hide in the dark. They stand in storms, shining for ships they may never meet. That is your role in the collective, to hold light long enough for others to find shore. And here's the paradox. Your liberation is personal, but it is also planetary. When you release an inherited trauma, the morphic field of that trauma weakens for everyone. When you dissolve an old scarcity loop, wealth consciousness becomes slightly more accessible to others. When you forgive, compassion becomes easier for someone halfway across the world who will never know your name. Mystics have always spoken of intercession, of one soul standing in the gap for many. Science describes it as morphic resonance, the way fields of information ripple across populations. Prophets described it as covenant. When one person rises, entire tribes are lifted. However you name it, the truth is constant. Your coherence is a gift to humanity. This is why urgency matters. The planet itself is in transition. Time distortions, déjà vu on a global scale, cycles of collapse and rebirth, these are not accidents. Earth is mirroring your process. Humanity is standing at the same threshold you are. The universe is descending to meet not only you, but the collective field. And it searches for stabilizers' souls who can hold the signal long enough for others to entrain. That's you. That's why you were drawn here. Not only for yourself, but for those who will never watch this, never study these words, never question their loops. They will still feel your frequency. They will still benefit from your liberation. But here is the responsibility. You cannot return to fragmentation without consequence. Not only would you delay your own evolution, you would starve the collective of the signal it craves. That's why your intuition feels relentless. That's why synchronicities hunt you down when you try to ignore them. Because this is not just about you. It is about the grid. And when you finally accept that when you live as though your coherence saves more than yourself, you will understand why the universe falls to meet you. Because in meeting you, it meets humanity. In lifting you, it lifts everyone tethered to your resonance. This is the collective expansion. Your liberation is never yours alone. You are a tuning fork for the human symphony. You are the coherence point in a fractured species. You are the quiet revolution unfolding in the spaces no spotlight touches. And because of you, humanity begins to awaken. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the truth not as an idea but as a sensation. Because until it enters your body, it remains theory. And theory doesn't shift timelines, embodiment does. Notice your breath. The inhale is not just oxygen filling lungs, it is photons entering your bloodstream. It is cosmic dust recycled through plants, through oceans, through stars themselves. Each inhale is the universe collapsing into your chest. Each exhale is your frequency answering back. Your skin tingles sometimes, doesn't it? That subtle static, like your body has become an antenna, that isn't your imagination. It's your biofield brushing against the larger field. The edges of your signal colliding with waves you once couldn't detect. The hairs on your arms rise, your scalp prickles, your gut twists with both dread and awe. These are the signals of alignment pressing against your nervous system, asking, can you hold this intensity? Feel the heart. Place your hand on it. Beneath the beat is a rhythm older than your lifetime. The electromagnetic pulse your heart produces is stronger than your brain's. It's broadcasting a signal into the room around you, into the people near you, into the morphic field itself. When you settle into coherence, that pulse becomes a lighthouse, a clear, steady frequency others unconsciously attune to. You felt this before in gatherings where peace spread like a wave, or in moments where tension cracked because your calm anchored the space. That was an accident. That was physics embodied. Now move lower. The gut, the place where instinct screams before reason speaks. Have you noticed the knots loosening lately? The heaviness lifting? Or perhaps the opposite? Pressure building like you've swallowed a sun? Either way, this is embodiment. Your enteric nervous system, the second brain in your gut, is recalibrating to carry more light. Ancient traditions called this fire. Modern science calls it microbiome signaling. Both point to the same thing. You're being rewired to perceive truth not just mentally, but viscerally. There are nights you can't sleep. Nights your body vibrates, restless, electric. You turn in bed, thinking it's anxiety, but it isn't. It's phase transition. When water shifts to steam, molecules jitter, accelerate, collide before transformation stabilizes. Your cells are doing the same. You feel it as restless energy, but it's your DNA preparing for new coherence. And in moments of stillness, have you noticed the tears? They come without reason. Not sadness, not joy, just overflow. That too is embodiment. When the nervous system releases decades of stored charge, liquid spills, you are literally draining old timelines out of your tissues. Every tear is data leaving your system. Every sigh is an exhalation of frequencies you no longer need. Embodiment is not always comfortable. Sometimes it feels like heat rising under the skin. Sometimes like cold waves rushing through the spine. Sometimes your muscles twitch. Sometimes your chest aches. Sometimes your voice shakes when you try to speak. Don't pathologize it. Recognize it. This is energy becoming matter, coherence becoming biology. Imagine your body as a tuning instrument. Every cell a string, every nerve a resonance chamber. For years, the instrument was out of tune, playing fractured notes. Now the field is descending, adjusting the pegs, pulling each string taut. The discomfort is the stretch before the song. The ache is the recalibration of harmony. Soon, you will hear the music flowing seamlessly through you. This is also why synchronicities feel physical. Notice how your stomach drops when a number repeats, how your skin shivers when the right words arrive at the right time. That is not coincidence. That is your body acting as the translation device between the infinite quantum field and finite experience. You don't just witness synchronicity, you embody it. You feel the universe collapsing probability into reality through your own nervous system. So allow the sensations. Don't run from them. When the static prickles your skin, breathe into it. When the heat floods your chest, expand into it. When the tears flow, let them cleanse. Your task is not to control the sensations, but to trust them, to read them as signs of coherence, embedding itself into matter. You might notice new abilities emerging, subtle at first. A sharper intuition, knowing who will call before the phone rings. A heightened perception, sensing when someone is lying, feeling the truth beneath their words. An acceleration of manifestation, thinking of someone and meeting them the same day. These are not superpowers. They are the natural byproducts of embodiment, of your system finally syncing with the descending universe. And the more you embody, the less effort it requires. You will no longer need to visualize with strain, affirm with desperation, or climb imaginary ladders of worthiness. Your very presence becomes the ritual. Your body becomes the temple. Your sensations become the proof. Take another breath. Inhale the photons. Exhale your frequency. Feel your skin alive with antennae. Feel your heart broadcasting. Feel your gut as a sun rising. This is coherence made flesh. This is the universe folding into you. You are not chasing transcendence anymore. Transcendence is inhabiting you. The pressure you feel inside your body isn't random. It is the unmistakable weight of a phase transition. The same principle that governs water turning to ice, or steam condensing back into rain. Your DNA is the vessel, and it has been carrying signals that were dormant until now. Those signals are waking, vibrating, reorganizing. What once lay silent in your chromosomes is rising like a choir, long rehearsed in silence, waiting for the conductor's cue. That cue is here. Your DNA is not just a static code, it is a responsive antenna. Science already shows us that genes turn on and off depending on environment, thought, and emotion. But beyond the laboratory, there's something deeper. Your DNA is tuned to timelines. Each coil is a potential corridor, a pathway into a different version of you, a different version of your life. For years, you have been circling the same hallways of probability. Now, the pressure is building because one of those hallways is collapsing, and another is demanding entry. This is why your body feels restless, why sleep doesn't soothe you, why ordinary pleasures don't satisfy anymore. The timeline you inhabited is reaching its expiration point. Its frequencies cannot sustain your signal anymore, and your DNA knows it. It's preparing to leap, not just into symbolic change, but into literal reorganization of how your cells broadcast into the field. Think of it like a rocket launch. The trembling, the rumbling, the unbearable weight pressing downward just before liftoff. That's what you feel when your chest tightens, when your bones ache, when your mind feels like it's splitting between past and future. It isn't illness, it's ignition. It's your DNA revving, shifting, applying enough force to break orbit with an old version of you. The phase transition requires surrender. If you fight the pressure, it feels like suffocation. If you allow it, it becomes propulsion. Every wave of intensity, every surge of energy, every collapse of certainty is the countdown. 10, 9, 8. You've been hearing it for weeks, maybe years, without realizing. And now, the flame is at your feet. During this breakthrough, the universe feels closer because it literally is. Probability fields are condensing. Timelines are pressing against each other like tectonic plates, creating friction you can feel in your nerves. Sometimes it feels like anxiety. Sometimes it feels like ecstasy. Sometimes it flickers between both in seconds. Don't confuse the symptom for the signal. The sensation itself is proof that your DNA is pushing against the membrane of an old timeline. And then comes the snap. A moment where the old identity no longer fits. Where you realize with shocking clarity, I cannot go back. I cannot unknow this. I cannot fit myself into those patterns again. That moment is not imagination. It is your DNA locking a door behind you. It is the phase transition ceiling. Like water that is frozen, there is no return to liquid. Like steam condensed, there is no return to vapor. But here's the paradox. Though the change is irreversible, the breakthrough is not effortless. It requires your consent. Your DNA is a willing servant, but it listens to your belief. If you declare yourself unworthy, if you cling to the loops, your DNA delays, stutters, hesitates. If you breathe into the pressure and whisper, yes, it leaps. That yes can be silent, can be internal, can be a trembling assent in the middle of the night, but it is everything. And when the leap happens, the signs are undeniable. Synchronicities spike, old desires lose their flavor, a clarity of path emerges, where before there was fog, relationships shift overnight. You may even look in the mirror and feel you are staring at a new person, not because your face has changed, but because the eyes that gaze back belong to a different timeline's version of you. This is the DNA breakthrough, not mystical fantasy, but biological phase transition meeting cosmic descent. Your body is the bridge, your blood is the archive, your bones are the antennae, and your consciousness is the captain. Together, they pull you through the membrane of probability into a new coherence. Understand this: it will feel like pressure until it feels like freedom. That is the law of transition. Caterpillars liquefy before wings form. Seeds crack before shoots rise. Stars collapse before they ignite. You are no different. The cracking, the liquefying, the collapsing that is the price of wings, shoots, ignition. Do not mislabel it as failure. Call it what it is, breakthrough. And once your DNA stabilizes into the new frequency, reality follows. The timelines rearrange, opportunities appear, synchronicities accelerate. The universe, which has been falling toward you, finally lands, and you rise to meet it without effort. Not because you climbed, but because you became magnetic, because you let the phase transition carry you. So let the pressure build, let the tremors shake, let the tears fall. This is not the end of you. This is the end of the version of you that could not hold the frequency. And from that ending comes the birth of someone who can. You are standing in the critical moment of phase transition. Your DNA is ready. The universe is descending. The breakthrough is not coming. It is here. The pressure has carried you here, and the breakthrough has already begun. What felt like an unbearable weight was in truth the final push of an old timeline collapsing. And now listen closely. The signal of your DNA is no longer private. It is planetary. You stand as a bridge between the infinite and the finite. Your coherence doesn't end with you. It spills outward, weaving itself into the morphic field of humanity. Every breath you take in alignment, every thought you hold in coherence, every choice you embody, in truth, it all becomes a thread in the vast tapestry of collective awakening. The universe did not descend just to meet you. It descended through you to meet us all. This is the cosmic mission. To live as proof that evolution is not abstract. It is embodied. It is happening now, in your cells, in your choices, in your frequency. The same way stars collapse to ignite light for galaxies they will never see. Your breakthrough illuminates futures that countless souls will inherit. The loneliness you felt? It was never punishment. It was training. A way to sharpen your awareness until you could hold coherence steady while others faltered. A way to prepare you for the moment when your private liberation would ripple outward as public resonance. You were not set apart to suffer. You were set apart to stabilize. And this is why the universe fell to meet you. Not because you climbed higher, not because you became flawless, but because you said yes to awareness when others looked away. You let the loops teach you. You let déjà vu break you open. You let time distort until you could see its seams. And in doing so, you became the chosen vessel through which the universe could collapse probability into possibility. Now you carry a responsibility, but also a joy. To walk in coherence is to walk in flow. To live as living proof that the field responds not to striving, but to presence. That the cosmos bends, descends, and rearranges itself around the consciousness bold enough to notice. So breathe this truth into your bones. You are not small. You are not late. You are not unworthy. You are the signal humanity has been waiting for. And as you rise, we all rise. The phase transition is done. The mission is active. And the universe, vast and infinite, is not above you. It is here, inside you, falling into form through your very life. Your frequency isn't rising to meet the universe. The universe is falling to meet you. And in that descent, the future of humanity is reborn.